everyone, and welcome back to Projector Room. How are you, Squire? You've been away on your holidays.
I have. I'm back. I went to a Spanish territory in order to enjoy the World Cup's final, and it was wonderful. Well done, Spain. And you ignored it. Folks, before the show, we're recording on Wednesday the 29th, I did inform Ted that Spain won the World Cup, and that was news to him. That's how out of touch this man is.
Sorry. I'm not. I wasn't just doing that for effect. I genuinely didn't know, because I don't watch the news anymore, and I don't listen to the radio news, and and it's just football and sport generally is just off my radar, and I honestly didn't know who had won. I knew that Argentina and Spain were in the final, but I never heard the result. What was the result? How many goals was it?
Well, it was 1-0, but Spain scored 3 times and 2 of them were disallowed. But yeah, it just boggles my mind that you managed to go this far with newspapers and TV and the internet and things, and you never clocked it. You never noticed.
Well, I do sometimes stumble into news. So in the morning, I look at Google News, and Google News over time on my phone does learn. At first, when I was using Google News, it didn't learn, and I kept badgering away at it. Whenever it served me something up to do with sport or politics, I kept saying not interested. Years and years later, now it eventually has got the message that I'm not interested in sport or politics, and so it now doesn't show those stories to me. So if I get past my Google News checking in the morning on my phone and it's not there, then I don't listen to the radio, so I don't have the radio news bulletins on. I don't watch television at all, except what I dial up on my Plex or my YouTube. And it is possible that I can stumble into something like that in YouTube, to be fair, on the home line thingy, But I just happen to have not done that, I suppose, on this occasion. And so there it is. I'm more obsessed with the weather.
Which is on after the news, isn't it?
Well, for me, it's on YouTube, on the Met Office channel on YouTube, and that's where I digest my weather stuff. So I just completely avoid the news, and I don't feel any worse off for it. If there's something going on big, I tune into it. So like with this Iran and US thing, I seek that out to see on a daily basis when I sit down in front of YouTube in the evening what the latest is, if anything catastrophic has happened. But if there's nothing particularly going on big like that, then I live under my stone, in my bubble. Right. Okay, laying aside my foibles, this is show 215. It's Wednesday the 29th of July, and we are back with another look at what we've been watching and what you've been watching. Projectorroom.co.uk is our website, and I've got fans on to the tune of 2. So if you hear any fans in the audio, then I do apologise, but tough titty. And we will try to make it entertaining. Apart from that, feedback from the community. Adrian Brain has been watching the Odyssey. Oh, yeah, and I've also got the window open. Did you hear that train?
No, I didn't. Well done, teams.
And, yeah, Adrian Brain has been watching the Odyssey. After the 2023 mega hit Oppenheimer, director Christopher Nolan is back with his latest epic. It's based on Homer's ancient poem about King Odysseus's prolonged return from the Trojan Wars, and epic it is with big letters, but sometimes bigger isn't necessarily better. The film moves from set piece to set piece, some better executed than others, as Odysseus and his, is that how you say it? Odysseus.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
And his men encounter monsters and fickle gods, with his men being culled in numbers after each encounter. Meanwhile, back home, his very long-suffering wife and son have to deal with his absence and uncertain succession, all whilst under threat from sea raiders. Matt Damon leads the stellar cast, but I'm not sure he was the right person for the job. Adrian reckons that Ralph Fiennes would have had brought more depth to the role, but obviously, as he acknowledges, less box office appeal. Anyway, Anne Hathaway and Tom Holland do a bit better as his wife and son. I quite enjoyed the film, and Nolan didn't try to mould the story to fit a modern narrative. The story of good and bad leadership, the horror of war, and the consequential loss of humanity is still as relevant as ever today. However, the film simply isn't in the same league as Oppenheimer, Dunkirk, Interstellar, or Inception. So, overall, says Adrian, not a flop of the fortnight, but something of a disappointment. Thank you, Adrian. We must have a look at that when it comes around. I must admit, I'm so ignorant of as I am with football news, I'm ignorant of that whole kind of Homer Odyssey, I don't even know how to pronounce it, thing. I didn't listen in history lessons or mythical lessons, whatever it is. Did you?
No, we didn't do the Greek period. That was we did history, and then there was another history type class called classical civilizations, where they would do more of that kind of stuff. Right. We were too busy doing the troubles because that's all we get here. Greece does have an interesting history, yes, but this seems all far too far-fetched. Pegasus and all that kind of stuff, and ice sandals, wings, Icarus flying.
Oh, right, yeah, the sun melting wings, right? Okay, yeah, I'm with you.
That'll probably annoy a few people, but it does look grand and epic. But to be honest, I still haven't gotten around to watch Oppenheimer because it's just so much to bite off. I know I should get to it, but I've been meaning to buy the 4K because I've heard it's utterly superb.
Especially when Florence Pugh gets her kit off. I particularly enjoyed that bit.
You dirt bird. Right, you're just lowering the level. Right.
Yes. Anyway, thanks, Adrian. We shall get to
that. Chad Dixon has written in about Devil in Ohio, which is a Netflix TV series, which is 8 episodes at 45 minutes each. A spooky contemporary TV drama for binging. A pale schoolgirl is found in just her nightdress, traumatized, by a rural roadside. Later, in the hospital, an inverted pentagram is found carved directly into her back. She initially will not talk when questioned. Who is she? Where did she come from? And who is behind her satanic mutilation? An unsettling watch for sure. Viewers have no idea what is going on from 1 minute to the next. Solid performances from all, but especially the predominantly school-age protagonists. But don't be put off by this because it's definitely a tale for adults. And Chad says it's highly recommended. So thank you for that. I haven't actually heard of this before at all. This is season 2, I think, is coming.
Oh, is it? I thought it was season 1. I started watching it, which is why you surprised me with that, because I thought this was season 1.
No, it's getting a season 2. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. I, in support of Chad, I started watching this after he'd written about it in the MeWe group, and I kind of agree with all he's saying there. To be honest, I think it does have potential. I think I'm up to episode 4. I think I'm nearly halfway through it, and it is pretty spooky and it's interesting and it's mysterious. You're not quite sure yet what's going on, and there's interesting characters in it who are popping up left, right, and centre. And this girl in the middle of it is kind of interesting and mysterious too. And the woman who's a doctor in the hospital, who's taken her into her home because the foster services are so pushed. She is really interesting to watch as well. I can't remember the actress's name, but she's very good as well. So yeah, I'm with Chad on this. I think it looks quite good, and I shall finish watching it to find out what it's all about.
Might that be Emily Deschanel?
Don't know.
Okay.
but her name in the show is Doctor Foster goes to Gloucester in a shower of rain. Suzanne. So it's yes, Emily Deschanel. You're right. She's Suzanne, and
Is
she's
Robert
actually very
Duvall
good.
in it?
Didn't know he was.
Because I've just gone onto the IMDb, and there's a picture of Robert Duvall at an event for Devil in Ohio. Oh, I can't say Ohio.
No, he's not in the list of actors, and he hasn't popped up yet.
Maybe
But
he
yeah,
plays the devil.
But I do think yes, I do think he's got potential. So good shout indeed. We haven't got a flop of the fortnight, but it was my turn to do Fandom Focus, and so I shall leap into that. And my Fandom Focus this time is, I suddenly realised that every single night before I go to bed, when I'm having my sandwich, which I know, yes, I shouldn't eat late at night, but I do. I watch an episode of usually some animated TV comedy, and it's very often an American one, although it's not always. And the two that I kind of highlight out really of the adult TV animation is Family Guy and The Simpsons. And there's so many of them that I virtually roll when I get to the end of it, I just mark it as not watched and then start again, and then on rotation. And I just never seem to get fed up with them, particularly Family Guy. I think The Simpsons fades off a bit towards the they've run out of ideas quicker than Family Guy, but yeah, I'm just intrigued by, and the writing is just so funny, particularly with Family Guy, but also Simpsons, and you start to watch episodes for a second time and see something you didn't see before, and it's all just written for adults, and it works really well. A couple of notable British ones as well. There's one called Crapston Villas, which was around Channel 4 in the 1980s, I think it was. And I managed to somehow, I can't remember how I did it now. Oh, I think I found the DVD in the end, and I thought, yeah, I must watch this again. I've forgotten all about it, and that was really funny. It's a kind of stop motion animation of these people who live in this real down and out kind of shared house in London somewhere, and half of them are artists, and one of them's a hooker, and the character, it's just really character rich, and again really well written. Short episodes, really short, like 10 minutes each, but I think it goes on for 2 seasons, and it's worth tracking down if you can. And there was another one called Stressed Eric, which goes under the radar, about this guy. Do you remember that? This guy Eric was just like the most anxious, pent up person you could possibly imagine. Everything in life completely stressed him. Sounds a bit like me. And it was quite interesting to watch that going on, and that was quite interesting. So that was that one. But in the middle of there, and I'm sure you can add loads to this, but some of the ones that are kind of on my radar, or have been. King of the Hill, I thought was really funny. In places, not brilliant all of it. Then there was Futurama, which I dipped into for a while, and that was interesting. American Dad, which again, it wasn't on the same level as Family Guy and Simpsons, but it certainly had a lot going for it. South Park is another one that I can dip in and out of readily. What else is there? There's, I don't know why I put the Flintstones in there. I think I must have gone a bit mad there. We'll take the Flintstones out. But Ren and Stimpy, I remember a friend of mine being really into that and got me stuck into Ren and Stimpy for a while. And that's completely bonkers, bizarre, off the wall. So anyway, the main point about the adult TV animation was really The Simpsons and Family Guy, led by Family Guy. And I just go back to it time and time again. And I always find something I've not seen before. And it's just really, really well written and very, very funny. So my Fandom Focus, I am a fan of adult TV animation. And also we've got one in coming soon called Alley Cats. We'll save that for later. But that looks really interesting as well. So yeah, plow in. What have I missed? What are your favourites?
There was Adult Swim, wasn't there? That was like a channel. I was never actually able to work out exactly what it was. Adult Swim, whether it was like a collection or whatever. But I saw a number of the cartoons that were involved in Adult Swim, like what's his name, the lawyer, and then there's a superhero guy, and then there was Robot Chicken, and Aqua Teen Hunger Force. All those as well, and they were all like on an Adult Swim TV channel. It was kind of cartoons for adults. Whenever these took off and they became really popular, but looking at Crapston Villa, it reminded me of a show, and I couldn't remember the name of it. I was googling it there. Dick Spanner PI, and it was, I don't know, 5 minutes each episode, and he has to solve he's like a robot type guy, and he has to solve a really seedy murder or something like that, or seedy case, and it's like a spoof of 1930s film noir type things. And I remember picking it up on VHS when I was really quite young, because I'd seen it on Channel 4 and I could never find it. It was actually Jerry Anderson from the Thunderbirds and things. He did it, but it was quite adult, not terribly adult. It was just had adult themes to it, and I loved that. Yeah, that was.
Don't remember that at all. Again. 1987 to 2017. It says on IMDb, 25 episodes.
Well, for Dick Spanner.
Yeah, Dick Spanner PI. 1987 to 2017, 25 on the episode guide. Let's see how many. There's 4 seasons of it.
Is there? Holy
according
crap.
to this.
Yeah. I didn't realize it ran for so long.
Right.
I'm going to have to check that out myself.
Yeah, I'll track that down. It looks really interesting, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it is stop motion animation as well. And Shane Rimmer does the voice. It's only 24 episodes. Okay, well, yeah, There's adult cartoons are really quite popular. You know, I think they became in the late 90s became really popular with people coming home in the pub and wanting to watch like Beavis and Butthead. That's another one that you should throw in there too. And it was kind of like The Simpsons. I think that kicked it off, where they just wanted to take it up a wee bit and make it less kid friendly. Yeah. Futurama's one that you mentioned, and that's just a wonderful show. It really is absolutely superb, and it's got so many classic episodes. I was just talking with my daughter yesterday about the episode about Fry's dog, and almost a tear came to my eye about that episode as well. And
I don't know it that well.
Oh, you should. You get through it. I think watch the first couple of seasons of it. It really is very, very good. And Bender is just hilarious.
Right, it's one of those ones that I've dipped in and out of. You know, I see it come on, and I might well watch an episode, but not actually sit and go through it all. Yeah. So
I'm gonna have to track some of these down. Get myself some DVDs of these. Yeah.
Very good. So there's my Fandom Focus. Your turn is on the next show, and see what you bring to Fandom Focus, which is very interesting as it goes forward. Private screening is next, and I put in the mix here a really big gambit, I think. Little House on the Prairie has started on Netflix, 8 episodes. And I said at the outset that I wasn't sure about this. It's clearly going to be very family friendly, but the thing that I read out on the last show is that it sounded like they were making it more gritty than the TV show. A high-stakes Western survival story, it says, with the greater emphasis on the harsh realities of frontier life, blah, blah, blah. I watched the first 2 episodes of this, and I don't really feel like I want to carry on watching it beyond 2 episodes. And depending on what you say in a minute, will depend on whether you talk me into carrying on or agreeing with me and stop there. I do think it's very well made, don't get me wrong, and it's well acted. But But for me, it has the same kind of feel as the TV show. And if I tried to go back and watch the TV show now, I just would not want to watch it. It's just like too sickly treacly, and I thought that this might be something a bit different. It is very much emotionally charged at every turn, even in the first two episodes. It's obvious that they're going to do the same thing with it, I think, which is making it into a tear-jerking experience. I remember my sisters back in the 70s, at the end of every show, you could guarantee someone will be crying, and I think that's probably the way it's going to be going as well. It's full of religion, of course, which I find annoying. I guess I understand that reflects what they were like at the time, but I just find, as you know, I find that particularly annoying. But yeah, sickly sweet family values. I kind of thought I saw this coming. It's quite hard to score it as well, I think, because there's nothing particularly wrong with it. I just don't particularly want to watch it at the moment, unless you talk me into it. So I was going to score it with a 10 to try and focus and be fair and focus on production values and acting and what have you, and laying aside it's not really for me. I decided to give it a 10 out of 15. So that's where I sat on it. 2 episodes. It could be very unfair. Maybe it gets better and different and more engaging as it goes forward. But at the moment, I'm kind of giving up on it. Nice idea, but it's for someone else. Your turn.
Well, I gave it a fair shot. I thought this was a nice thing for them to bring back and try to manage to bring or retain some of the family values that the show had back in the late 70s, early 80s, when it was made. And before I watched it, I actually ended up watching a YouTube video about the last episode of Little House on the Prairie and how they burnt the house down.
Yeah.
And it was a bit of a big thing, and it made me, a wee bit sort of enthusiastic about watching a remake and trying to capture that energy again. And I would say that the young cast do. The 2 girls in the lead. What was it? Ingalls is their name, isn't it? The Ingalls.
That's the character name, yeah.
Yeah. They were really quite entertaining. I thought it was a decent enough little cast that they brought in there. The whole cast, I think, was actually very good. The family, well cast. It's beautiful to look at, but I think it's one of those TV shows, a bit like the Madison, where if you point the camera in any direction, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, if you just get that time of year, it's just utterly gorgeous. And it made me think that, I was watching, the opening of it, and the girl comes running out with, she's using the catapult to try and capture some rabbits. And I thought, ooh, I wonder how this is going to go. Are they actually going to show a bit of, animal, not cruelty, but, skinning and killing animals so that they can survive, because it's a survival frontier Western. How's that going to work out? And how's that going to go with the PC crowd today, who are going to give off about, you can't be eating rabbits, cute little Bugs Bunnies, no way. But now, from what I gather, this is much closer to the books than the Michael Landon series back in the late 70s, and it was such a success, such a commercial success, that it makes sense that they try to capitalize on that. But I really felt the first episode really lacked any form of family warmth between the characters. I understand that it takes a while for a TV series to get going, but I think it was important for them to get that in there right from the get-go. And I didn't buy it as a family. It felt too clean, felt too new. It didn't feel frontiery enough for me, where you sit down and watch a 1960s Western and you just, clothes felt worn. They were there. People wore a shirt for years before they took it off. This didn't. It didn't have that at all. And there was a there was a special effect, a little bit of CGI that was used during a treacherous river crossing, and it was garbage. It was
Oh
utter
yeah.
garbage, yeah. And I think Netflix could have done a bit better with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not carrying on with it at all. I watched the first episode, and that's enough for me. Even my wife was like, "No, I'm done with this." Yeah. I think it quite happily will sit in the old series. If you want to go and dig that out, I think it's out on DVD. Go get it and rewatch it. But I can't imagine too many people are going to persevere with this. I'm sure there will be. You know, this has to have its audience for them to be able to consider this. And there's a large audience out there who I'm sure will really dig this, because they don't want to see Jack Ryan or Reacher or any of the Devil in Ohio TV shows. So they've got to cater to another slightly more modest group of people who want to see this sort of thing, and I hope it succeeds. It might be worth coming back to after a couple of seasons, whenever everything's bedded in. But from that first episode, I just didn't feel things were gelling. And I know it takes a few episodes, but I don't care. I don't want to watch any more of it. I think it did quite well, but just not enough to get me going. So I would give it maybe 6. Yeah.
Okay. You're not being as generous as me. I thought that in terms of production values, it was quite good. And anyway, that's fine. So that gives it a score of 16, which puts it about 2/3 of the way down our list, in the company of The Sea Beast, The War Below. I think We're Alone Now. I can't remember any of these films.
I think my wife's downstairs.
I think I'm going to see now. I really do. I just read out 3 films there, and I can't remember any of the 3. So anyway, 16.
Yeah, I remember that. Actually, that was good. Yeah,
I think We're Alone Now. I've got a feeling
Peter
I should.
Dinklage. It was like a zombie type thing.
Oh yeah. That's right. Anyway, yeah, that's where it is. 2/3 of the way down. Right, okay. So that's Little House on the Prairie done. The nostalgia itch scratch for me. My sisters will no doubt be all over it and watching it, but I think I'm done with it, the same as you. What are we going to have to homework on for the next show?
Well, I think we could do The Frontier again, and this time do it hopefully right, with something a bit grittier. And I've been wanting to see Bone Tomahawk again for a while, and I know that it gets snarled at if I suggest something that I've already seen, just as a Ted, you have to watch this because it's cool. So we'll go for something that's similar in tone, and that's Frontier Crucible, New Western 2025 with Tom Jane and directed by Travis Mills.
Okay. I don't know anything about that. Never heard of it. So good choice. We can dive into that and bring it back on the next show for private screening and get some scoring going. And hopefully it will be a positive experience. Okay, next up is themed treats. And it was my turn. And I chose Isolation and Seclusion, which gave you completely 2 million choices, because there's actually so many films out there that have got this kind of thing. So we'll go turnabout, shall we? My first one is Inside, which I spoke about on this show before. Willem Dafoe plays this. This is from 2023. Willem Dafoe plays this burglar, and he's in cahoots with this bloke. They break into this high-tech penthouse in New York to steal some art. And when he gets in there, he gets locked in, basically. This is so high tech, this place, that it just locks him down and he can't get out. There's no way out at all. And so the owners of the apartment seem to just be away for a long time because of his entrapment in this penthouse. There isn't particularly a timescale clearly done, but it feels like a lot of weeks into a few months, and he's got to survive in there somewhere with creating ways of finding drinking water and food to survive, and he gets quite clever with some of that and works out ways of using the fridge, and the way in which fridge creates ice and blah blah blah. Anyway, there clearly is electricity there to be used. So the whole film essentially is him in this apartment trying to find a way out, and he's just brilliant, as we know Willem Dafoe can be. And a bit like kind of Tom Hanks in Castaway, we stay with him throughout the whole film. We never go away from it, and it's getting alongside him and feeling the isolation with him. I think that film worked really well for this topic of this today. It highlights that very, very clearly, that it's you feel the isolation. I won't tell you what happens in the end. Go and watch it. It's called Inside, and it's from 2023, and it's a little indie movie, so it wasn't kind of cinema front end stuff. But I did review it, and I'll put a link to my review into the show notes as well. So very nice indeed. Okay.
Yeah. Is it adult or is it quite tame?
No, it's quite tame. It's all about his survival, and him finding ways, finding resources in this penthouse, to survive, to drink and to eat, and ultimately to try as hard as he can to find a way out of the place. And as I say, I won't tell you what happens in the end, but no, it's in no way adult.
Okay, fair enough. It's rated R.
Is it? Well, it must be for language then. I can't remember anything else in it. He's the only one in it.
Okay, so he
Well, I suppose he might got. I suppose he might. Yeah, he might have got his clothes up at some point. I suppose, but no, only because he's too hot. You see, one of the things that goes wrong while he's in there is that something goes wrong with the thermostat, the temperature, and 1 minute it's really, really, really bakingly hot when I think he does strip off at that point, and then that seems to fix itself, and then it goes really, really, really cold, so he's frozen, and he's got. It's a survival tale, and it's done really well. I suggest you watch it.
Okay, yeah, I'll give it a go. It sounds interesting.
Right, what's your first one?
Oh, well, you opened the doors, and there's a lot of films, and I mulled over several, and I went through zombie movies because generally they are what you'd expect to be, isolated. But the zombie movies are a bit disappointing because they generally feature groups of people uniting with other groups of people, so it's not sort of one person. So I went with The Martian. It's a tiny bit of a cop-out, I suppose, but it's only so I can get to the next one, because I needed to pick a couple. The Martian, I think, is an absolutely superb isolation film. I adore this film, and I suppose Project Hail Mary as well. But I think I lie on the side of The Martian being the better of the two films, where our pal Matt Damon is stuck on Mars, and he has to survive through the runtime, and it's a decently long film. He's got to try and get off Mars. Earth is trying to work out how to get him back, and there is a cast of colourful characters. In a way, I suppose you could say, it would be a better film if it didn't feature NASA down trying to get him back, and they just turned up. But and it just focused on Matt Damon. You could edit it down that way and make probably about a 90-minute movie about him on Mars. But I just thought that, it captured it really well. It's funny, it's suspenseful, it's action-packed, it's just an absolute triumph, and the director's cut is even better. I love this film. It's probably one of Ridley Scott's best films in many years. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have, but only once. And now that you've mentioned a director's cut, maybe it's time to revisit it, having only seen it once, as it's now 11 years old. So yeah, totally agree with you. I think it's a fabulous film, really, really well done. And some of those things that he's doing reflect what I was saying about Inside, the film Inside, where someone has got to use their wherewithal to find ways to survive, and that's exactly what. In the same way, as I was talking about Castaway earlier, the difference, what you were saying about The Martian. With Castaway, we do stay with Tom Hanks through the whole
Hmm.
film. Well, most of it. There's an epilogue at the end, and there's the plane crash at the beginning. But most of it, we're just on the island with him, and that's the same as Inside as well. So I thought that worked really, really well for Castaway, which was another really good isolation film. But yeah, The Martian, really enjoyed it, and I shall watch it again on the back of what you've said.
Yeah, it's very much worthwhile.
So my second choice is Pluribus, which we
Oh.
spoke at great length about on the show. With Alan was a huge fan, and we went through it when this first came out. And this is about with oh no, hang on a minute, Ray Seahorn. So it's the reunion between Vince Gilligan and Ray Seahorn from Better Call Saul, and it was just wonderfully imagined. She wakes up one day and realizes that she's kind of on her own, and there's no one else alive, and all the other humans have gone. And it turns out there's an alien force that have landed on the Earth, but they're really, really peaceful and accommodating. And all the other people, the other humans that have survived, have all been made into these kind of happy hippie people by these aliens, and there's only 13 people left which have not. They've slipped through the net of these invaders. So Ray Seahorn's character is one of them, Carol, and she has to work her way through with the other 12 people to see what's going on. Meanwhile, the aliens, being really, really nice to everyone, are behind the scenes trying to work out what they've done wrong to not allow these 13 people to be impacted in the same way as the rest of the surviving people. There was a lot of people killed when they first invaded, but anyway, as we said on the show before, it was beautifully created, and it's funny, and she is fabulous throughout. And it's done really, really well, shot well, as you'd expect from Vince Gilligan. It has the feel of that Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad thing going on, and his stamp is, on every frame really. It's also a bit of a sad love story behind the scenes as well, which if you haven't seen it, I won't spoil for you. But there's kind of some emotional stuff going on as well, and it's just really smart. It's really intelligent. And it's also surreal, and it makes you think. And I think that it was just really, really enjoyable. And I think that certainly Alan did. I can't remember if you watched it or not, did you? But yes, I think you did, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I loved it.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, it is. It's an imaginative series. It's different to what you might be expecting from this type of TV show. There's countless alien invasion of the body snatchers, all those sorts of things where they come down and do slightly different things. This one is completely outside of that, and it's taken it really is. It's just an inventive TV show, and it's appreciated because it's nice to see something new that hasn't been done before.
Yeah, absolutely. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I must watch it again. I've only seen that once, and that's not like me to leave something like that's so good not watched a second time. I think I've watched Better Call Saul about 5 times.
Oh, really? I was thinking about starting it again as well. Yeah.
So we'll do that. Anyway, that's my second choice. What's your second choice?
Well, it's a little film that I have mentioned on the show before, called Right at Your Door. I went into it thinking this was like a zombie thriller or something like that, but it's more along the lines of in LA, a dirty bomb is set off, and everyone has to stay in their houses because there is this biological threat outside of it, and they have to seal up their windows and things like that. And it's just a story about one guy in his house while all this is happening, and there are people who come to his door, and he has to try and trust people. People are trying to get in, people are trying to check on him, and all sorts of things across the film. And it's really, really tense. But the crucial part of it is during the climax, something happens, and you're like, "Whoa! I didn't expect that at all." It's terrific. It really is an absolutely blinding, simple movie that's worth checking out. I did not expect the end of it at all, and it's top notch. One of the best isolation thrillers I think I've seen, and I heartily recommend it to anyone who hasn't seen it. Have you seen it?
I have, yeah. And I'm trying to remember the end of it now. You said that there's a big twist or whatever, and I can't remember what it is. So I'll have to watch this one again as well. I remember the whole story of particularly that his wife was involved in it as well, and no one can contact anyone, and his wife just happens to have gone off to work or something, and while she's away, he's doing this. He's sealing the house up, and when she comes back to the house, to try and get in, she's obviously been infected, and there's this really emotional, powerful scene between the two of them, him inside, her outside. She's trying to get in, and he's saying, well, if you get in, we'll both die, so surely it's better if you stay outside and die and I survive than both of us die. And that was, I remember that being quite a powerful scene.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you the end after the show if you want. If you haven't watched it again, but I really want to watch it again. It's one I don't own, so I maybe have to try and track down a Blu-ray. I'll do that while you're yammering on.
Okay, right, okay, so that's our theme treats, isolation and seclusion. Hope you enjoyed that. I'm sure you have your own versions of isolation and seclusion favourites. So next show, Gareth, we need a theme for the next show. What are you going to pick?
It only seems to be on DVD in the UK. Flip's sake. I don't know. Oh yes, tech-based thrillers. Something really techy.
Okay.
There's loads of them, but I know there's really crap ones where they're like, they plug into the internet and upload viruses to alien chips and things like that, where the person doesn't have a clue about what they're doing, but they're just like, yeah, okay, if we reroute the negative power couplings through the antivirus, then we can do that, and that'll help us in a way. So a proper tech thriller that you go, right, this is, it's not like The Martian is based on science, a tech thriller that's based on tech, actually.
Which is interesting because many of them will date quite quickly, won't they? My mind goes back to that one we were talking about with Alan, with Sandra Bullock in, what was that called? The Cell? No.
The Net.
The Net, that was it. Yeah, and I went and watched that, and I thought, good grief, this is so dated.
It is.
Because tech moves so quickly. So the part of the challenge will be trying to find one that's good and still up to date, I suppose.
That's not going to happen.
Right, okay then. We'll be back with that one next time. We're going to move into the main feature now. We'll do it turnabout as well. The first one I wanted to just mention was Blindness, a 2008 film, which I'd not seen before, and I stumbled into somewhere or other, which is an apocalyptic psychological thriller directed by Fernando Meirelles, who was the one that did City of God, which I'm sure that people would know. It explores what happens to human morality when modern society collapses under a sudden pandemic of total vision loss. And the total vision loss is called the white sickness. Anyway, we start the story with this doctor, played by Mark Ruffalo, and his wife, Julianne Moore. and they are forced into when this this kind of thing happens, this blindness thing happens to everyone. The authorities are trying to round up the people that have got it and keep away from the one, keep as many people that haven't got it away from the ones that have got it. So these people are being forced into an asylum type quarantine centre, and they are all isolated in there with soldiers around the outside, keeping people inside. Now, Julianne Moore's character, his wife, doesn't need to be in there because she hasn't lost her sight. She's not got the white sickness, but she wants to stay with her husband, the doctor. So she pretends that she has and goes in with him, which is an interesting angle. So she appears to be immune from it, and so when these people are all inside this quarantine center, and it turns out to be about I don't know the exact number, but probably about 50 or 60 people, I think, in different wards. The conditions kind of get worse and worse in there because the armed guards they're pushing food into the place, enough food to get by, but they're not doing any kind of other controlling. So what develops inside this quarantine place is very much a kind of Lord of the Flies type situation where they establish their own, who's in charge, who's making decisions, what decisions are being made, bearing in mind all this time that everyone except Julianne Moore's character is blind, they can't see. So there's one aggressive bloke in there though who happens to have a gun with him, and so when it turns out that he's got a gun, that changes the balance of power as well. Really interesting premise though, and how they survive, how the community, like in Lord of the Flies, how the community sets itself up to be helpful or unhelpful, abusive, controlling, where the power lies between everyone, and so on. Social status of anyone pretty much is stripped away, and they've got to build it up from the beginning. So most of the film is inside this quarantine centre. Julianne Moore, as always, is just terrific. There is a good supporting cast. Danny Glover is in there, and Don McKellar is in there. It's really well shot. It's dark, and at times it's really moving as well. And it's it just kind of highlights how fragile things could be if something pandemic like that was to go wrong, unlikely as it might be. Very well put together story, and absolutely worth a look if you haven't. 2008, so it's yonks old. I'm surprised that it's gone under my radar all this time. Were you aware of it?
Yeah, I've seen it, and it stands out in my memory as potentially one of the last films I ever hired out from Extravision, which is the Northern Ireland version of Blockbuster.
Uh-huh.
I think that might be the last film or one of the. But I did very much like it. It was a complete blind pickup, to be honest. I didn't know anything about it. I just read the back of it and thought, this looks pretty good. I could watch that. It sounds a wee bit post-apocalyptic-y kind of thing, and my wife thought, it sounds interesting. And it's got a female protagonist, so it met all our expectations. I can remember virtually nothing about it other than I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Hopefully some of the things I said might ring some bells, but it's definitely worth a second look if it's been that long and you can't remember. So go for it. I recommend it to everyone. So what's your first one?
Well, I'm going to do this really quickly because I haven't actually watched too many films in the last fortnight because I was in Tenerife. But on the way to Tenerife, I watched a film that I'll come to. And on the way back from Tenerife, I watched this one. And it's called True Grit from 2010. And there is a reason why I'm watching this. Primarily because I wanted to see it again. It's been a while. I went to the cinema to see it back in 2010, but and I haven't seen it since. But I got in those DVD pickups that I was doing, I don't know, about a year ago, I got the sequel to the original Rooster Cogburn. So I've been mulling over watching that again, and I recently ripped it on the Plex, and I thought, oh, right, okay, I'm gonna do a Rooster Cogburn season where I watch the 2 John Wayne films, try and track down the 3rd film, because there is another film in the True Grit original series, and then this. And I gave this a go again, and it's a superb Western. It really is. I didn't think too much of it at the time. I liked it, but I didn't think too much. It didn't have a massive impact because I think, Tombstone and Wyatt Earp, and there had been a number of strong Westerns, not too many strong Westerns, but there was a number of strong Westerns, and I wasn't too enthusiastic about the fact that I couldn't quite make out what Jeff Bridges was saying, and it was a criticism that I'd seen from a lot of people, because, if you lose half your tongue, you don't talk very well.
There's a spoiler.
Well, it's his character. His character has lost half his tongue at a previous altercation at some stage. So, he kind of, I can't really talk proper, and it's difficult to get his words out and hear what he's saying. And that's a bold choice. It's something that I'm sure the studios were like, no, you can't do that. But this is Joel and Ethan Coen. So, yes, you can do whatever you want. I think they're some of they've got Final Cut, so they can do what the hell they like. But I'd completely forgotten that old Matt Damon was in there as well. And there's quite a celebrity backup cast. You got Josh Brolin. I suppose it's a fairly early role before he made superstardom. But he's in there as well. Barry Pepper has a pretty luxuriant role. But Haley Steinfeld, who plays the young girl who goes along with Rooster Cogburn, I can't think of when I've seen her since. And I've had a look through her films and I've gone, I don't recognize any of these things, aside from maybe Bumblebee or something like that. But I haven't watched them. And I think she just disappeared into the nether, but she's terrific. I really underappreciated her whenever I watched it. I guess everyone got really excited about Jeff Bridges' role and how good he was in it. But it delivers on every level. It's exciting, it's thrilling, it's got a good bit of gunplay. It's funny and it's just really well written. It's tense, it's harrowing, it's scary. It does it all. And it doesn't take its time either. It plays with it. It fleshes it out. And I think I've got a real Western desire to watch as many Westerns as possible because I haven't watched too many recently. And having watched Rust, which I reviewed on my site recently, and I know you watched it recently, and Kevin Costner's Frontier, wasn't it? I can't remember what that was called. I want to see the big epic Westerns again. And I'm going to sit down with Austin because we watched the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly trilogy, or the Dollars trilogy. And we've got Sergio Leone's other one, Once Upon a Time in the West. Sitting there ready to go whenever we've got a good few hours to watch that. But True Grit, masterstroke, absolutely brilliant. Enjoyed it so much more this time around. And I thoroughly recommend it to anyone wanting a solid Western. If you haven't seen it, there's no excuse. Go back and revisit it. Have you seen it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we spoke about it on the show before, and I was bowled over by it then. I think we were doing a Coen Brothers focus or something. And I remember back then watching it, and I thought it was really, really well made and really well done, as you would just expect from the Coen brothers doing anything, as you said at the outset. So there is that. I did read something about Haley Steinfeld somewhere along the line. And if you look at her filmography, it's supported by the fact that she seems to have stepped back. She's done she did do this TV show called Dickinson, and that took 3 years of her time by the looks of it, or 2 years. But most of the rest of it is like music videos and voiceovers. And didn't she try and become a musician or something instead of acting? I've got a feeling she stepped back. But I do remember when we talked about it before that she, in her role in this film, was really, really good, and she did a really good part in True Grit for sure. But yeah, I do think there is a backstory to her disappearance.
Oh yeah, she's in Pitch Perfect 2 and 3, so she must be able to belt out the. Looking at her upcoming films, yeah, she's got a few things on the back burner.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought that it would have been super stardom for her because she's very pretty, and she can measure up to Jeff Bridges, which takes some doing. And yeah, she just kind of slipped away. I have seen a number of other films that she's in. I remember Ender's Game with Harrison Ford, and then 3 Days to Kill with Kevin Costner, and The Homesman. A quality western. Yeah. Don't remember her in that now, but I'll go back and watch that again. That'll be cool.
Mm-hmm. Right, okay then. Yeah, definitely with you on True Grit though, the 2010 version. I can't stand John Wayne, so I couldn't watch the original, the previous version. But the one in between might be good. I didn't know there was a third one, so unless he's in it as well, is he?
No, he's in the first two, and then the third one's True Grit, Another Adventure or something it's called, but I think it was a pilot for a TV show.
Okay.
So it's one of those ones that's a TV movie that's difficult to find now, but I'm sure it's on YouTube or Dailymotion or something like that. I'll be able to track it down.
Okie dokie. Right, my second pick for the main feature is Star City, and I so highly recommend people watching this over and above For All Mankind, I think. For All Mankind started really well, and we were raving about that. The first 2 seasons of For All Mankind was just brilliant, and it kind of petered away a bit. I did, while I was watching Star City, I did also watch the 5th season of For All Mankind, and it just, to my mind, it just got very silly and daft, and it ended up really people running around with white guns shooting each other. It was like a cross between Doctor Who and Red Dwarf or something. And the sets were just crap, and it just looked stupid. And the whole concept behind what was going on was just daft and stupid. They completely ran out of ideas as to what to do. The only interesting thing about the 5th season was the craft that had gone off to Titan, and that bit was really interesting, but they didn't spend enough time with that. They just spent more time with these stupid people in Mars, all bickering and fighting and being political with each other and just being stupid.
Actually, I started to interject, but I was thinking about it the other day. There was a moment where when they were on Titan, they're climbing up a cliff face, and something happens to one of the characters, and they don't show what happens to the character. They just they focus on the other actors who are describing what's happening to the character, and it just felt like, did they not have the money to be able to do it? What it's such a bizarre thing. I think the person slashes their spacesuit or something simple like that, and it's just like, why? How did you not?
She does her ankle in. She twists her ankle or something. It's something to do with her foot.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense that they just avoided it.
Right.
Avoided showing it to you.
But anyway, that was the interesting bit, I thought, of that 5th season, and that bit of it was just remained interesting, but the rest of it was just stupid. Anyway, that's not what I come to talk about. I come to talk about Star City, which is the Russian take on the beginning, if you like, of For All Mankind. So this was where the Russians got to the moon first, and blah blah blah, and we see it from inside the the Russian authorities, and this Russian space center, and it's just brilliantly done. It's a classically well done Apple TV series from start to finish. It's totally gripping. It's full of interesting characters and brilliant performances throughout. I do find it hard to criticize it at all. The script is superb. The production values are top notch. And yeah, it was just wonderful TV, really. There's one particular character in the mix, which is no, what's her name? She is Anna Maxwell Martin.
Yeah.
And she plays this KBG, this ruthless KGB security officer who is just a monster. And she watching, honestly, when I watched the first episode of this, she is involved in an incident in the first episode, which I did not see coming at all. And it really took me back. I think I said to you after I'd seen the first episode, wow, this looks like it's going to be jaw-dropping, this thing. Now, not all of it is quite up to that same standard, but throughout the whole series, the ruthless monster Raskova is just brilliant. You just got to watch her. So it's essentially a Cold War spy thriller, though. We get behind the kind of Iron Curtain, and we follow the lives of the Russian cosmonauts and the engineers and the KGB intelligence people inside the Soviet space program. And so that alone makes it really interesting to see how differently it was controlled and how people were controlled by the communism around them and what was expected of them by the party and the Kremlin. So we got all of that going on at the same time. Rhys Ifans, he plays the chief designer alongside this girl who was a spy in training in the department working under the monster Raskova. But the two of those, actually, her name is Morozova and his name is Sergei. And if you remember from All Mankind, Sergei is the person that what's her name keeps getting in touch with. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. That was heartbreaking.
Yeah, and
Margot.
she goes. Margot, that was it. And she goes to Russia and Sergei comes to America and blah, blah, blah. And you see the early days of the Soviet characters in that, i.e. Sergei, and also Morozova pops up in For All Mankind. In fact, the Morozova character pops up heavily in the 5th season of For All Mankind. She's one of the ones that is trapped alongside the Russian bloke in charge in all that stupid showdown at the end of it there. She's the woman with the long hair. And it took me a while to realise that was tied up with Star City, but it is. Anyway. This is edge of the seat stuff. It really is. The message I'm giving here really is that this is just brilliant TV, and it just catches you on the hop from the start, and it doesn't let go. A lot of it, as I say, is because of Anna Maxwell Martin and what she brings to her character, given free rein to be as nasty as possible to everyone. And there's drama and emotion, and there's some kind of love behind the stuff that's going on with various characters as well. Anyway, thoroughly recommended. It's on Apple TV now, and you can watch it right the way through. And I recommend that you do, because it's just so well done. So there you are.
Yes, starting it next week.
Make sure you do. What have you? What's your second one?
Well, on the way out to Tenerife, because Death of Robin Hood is coming, and I'm a pretty big Robin Hood fan. I have most of the Robin Hood movies on on physical media. I watched one that I hadn't seen since I was a wee nipper, and it's called Robin and Marian from 1976. This is the one with Sean Connery and Audrey Hepburn, which sees Connery playing the aging Robin Hood, who's returning from the Crusades after 2 decades away. Richard Harris plays King Richard, and then Robert Shaw plays the Sheriff of Nottingham, and I can't remember the name of the other actor who's alongside him, but there is. I haven't done my research. Although I was looking more into Audrey Hepburn, because
Robert
she
Shaw.
came out of... yes? What about him?
Denholm Elliott. I'm looking through the list
Denholm
of
Elliott
people.
plays Will Scarlett, or an aged Will Scarlett.
Ronnie Barker.
Ronnie Barker plays Friar Tuck, yeah.
Ian Holm is in there.
He is. He plays King John. So Audrey Hepburn came out of retirement to do this. She'd been retired for 8 years from acting, but the opportunity to play Maid Marian alongside Sean Connery made it a bit of a big thing. And they really do have quite a bit of chemistry in the film, and it really helps the film. It has a real sort of emotional core to it, as opposed to being, a Kevin Costner style swashbuckler, or even a Disney style swashbuckler, or an Errol Flynn style swashbuckler. There is swash and buckle, just not on the level of those other films. And you get entrenched in the two characters of Robin and Marian, because it is about them in an interesting point of their sort of twilight of their career, in a way. They've always talked about revisiting Batman, getting Clint Eastwood to play Batman at this stage, where he's an old Batman, he has to come out of retirement, or James Bond, and getting, Dalton or someone like that, or Pierce Brosnan back to play an older James Bond at the twilight of the career. And that's a really interesting thing to do. And they did it with Robin Hood. When I watched it originally, I didn't think this was particularly great, because I was thinking, wow, Sean Connery, James Bond as Robin Hood, swinging from the battlements and taking on hordes of knights and things like that. But no, it's not. There is a little bit of action here and there, but it is more of a romantic drama, if anything. And that makes it really quite difficult to stomach, especially whenever you're about 10 years old and expecting swash and buckle. And I loved Robert Shaw as well, so I was dead excited about Connery and Shaw being back together for the first time since From Russia with Love. But Richard Lester is the director who did Superman 2, I think, just before this, and he does balance the humor quite well. I didn't see any humor when I was a kid, but as an older man now, that's the way I look at it. I see the humor. It sort of bleeds through, and it's a very light-hearted story, and I smirked quite a bit whenever Connery did a few things that were just lighter and funnier. There is realism to it as well. They're old bones and things like that. This isn't a modern action movie where they're just sort of dragging people out, Connery doing The Rock or something like that. Here, he feels it, where he's climbing up the side of the castle. He's struggling to do so because he's not as strong as he used to be. And they are lashed with sweat once they get to the top, because, that's a hard job to do. Whereas if it was modern and it had some sort of modern action hero like Harrison Ford doing it, then he would, flip up there no matter what, easily. It's not slow. It's just a different type of, it's a different approach. It's constantly interesting. It's beautifully shot. Friar Tuck is in there, and Ronnie Barker, who I don't think actually has any actual lines, but he does have a wee bit. He's in some of the combat sequences, which I thought was quite funny. Ronnie Barker in an action film, that doesn't happen very often, but he and I think it's Connery, face off at the start of the film, which is kind of fun. But he's quite funny, and he brings a lighter weight to it, I suppose, like Benny Hill did in The Italian Job. That's what they were kind of looking for it. Mm-hmm. And as the film comes to an end, I was quite affected emotionally. Not, I wasn't crying or anything, but I took a few moments after the end credits did roll, because this is 1970 whatever, so it doesn't actually have any full end credits. It was kind of profound, and I really liked the way they brought it to the end and the last line of the film. It was quite beautiful, and I think just for an older audience, it's a beautifully classy movie. It is. It's really excellent, and I would recommend it to anyone who wants to go out and see a Robin Hood film that they maybe haven't seen before, because this just doesn't quite match up to what you might expect from what Russell Crowe did, or what Kevin Costner did, or Cary Elwes did. So give it a go. Have you seen this or heard of it? Or
I have, yeah, I've seen it way back in the day, and I've only seen it once, as is usually the thing with these older things. No repeat viewings for me. And when I'm watching the trailer run through here, kind of bells are ringing, and what have you. I don't particularly, close your ears now, but I don't particularly like Sean Connery. I think he just constantly plays himself all the time, and a bit like John Wayne, the aforementioned John Wayne, or Michael Caine, and it's just like it's the same person, and it's not convincing because they're not really. Anyway, that's an argument for another day. So consequently, I haven't gone back to watch it because I'm not a big fan. But I had no idea that there were so many stars in it. It's a bit of a thesp outing, really, isn't it? With some comedy stars chucked in the mix. Bill Maynard's in there as well.
That's right, yeah.
Which is really funny. So now that you pointed it out to me again, and it's because it's been decades and decades since I've seen it, then I shall certainly track it down and watch it again and see what I think after all these years. So yeah, well, nice.
I'd throw in a wee bit that it actually reminds me a wee bit of Unforgiven, which is one of the greatest westerns ever made, and because it's got that kind of Twilight movie stars doing something that they can't really do convincingly in the traditional way, so they make a story that's older and more mature.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I shall track it down, and so that was an interesting choice for sure. So you watched that on the plane just by chance, did you?
Well, sort of. I thought I stuck my tablet full of films to get on a plane, but you've got to take a very specific type of film, because you might have a kid beside you, so you can't be watching something too action or too bloody or gory, and I can't watch Hellraiser on the plane. You go for Emmanuel, I go for Hellraiser. Right.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. So you, for some reason, chose this. Probably because you're a Robin Hood fan. You thought, oh, that'll do.
Well, yeah. It's a perfect time to watch something like that.
Indeed. Right. Okay. Moving on swiftly. We've come to the coming soon section, and we've got a handful of stuff in here. So let's have it.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. We'll start.
Oh, sorry. Had you not finished with Robin and Marion? I thought you had.
I had. I just had forgotten what we were going into next.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The first one is an interesting one. This is a film that was not going to be released. They decided they were going to do a tax write-off on it, but one thing led to another, and it eventually got released. Or it's going to be released on August 28th. It's a film called Coyote versus Acme, and it's a comedy. It's one of those live action meets cartoon type films with a celebrity cast with John Cena, Will Forte, other people as well, or I'm sure I can't remember any names that I saw in it, but it's set around quite a funny idea, where Coyote decides after years, decades, half a century maybe of getting into trouble with Acme products and them blowing up in his face, he was going to take them to court because they don't work as advertised. So the story is set in the Acme warehouse, where the manufacturer of anything and everything used by the Looney Tunes characters. And they go to court, and Will Forte plays the lawyer, and John Cena plays the head of Acme. And I thought it sounded pretty tragic. Will Forte, I like him an awful lot, but he just seems to be handed crap things. And this was just one that I chalked up as crap. And the fact that they decided to shelve it for a tax refund made me think, yeah, this is crap. But I watched the trailer and I giggled quite a bit at it. I think this looks really funny. And I'm glad that we're getting it. All the funny bits might be in the trailer. We could see that, but I'm quite excited about this. And I've got a funny feeling, Ted, you're not going to like this very much.
I'm not sure. I'm hoping that all the animation is not in the trailer, and that's it. Because I think that watching the trailer, I think that I'll give it more of a chance the more animation that's in it, and less. The real life characters I found in the trailer were just the boring bits, and probably down to nostalgia. I was just enthused about seeing the cartoon characters and what I used to see when I was a kid. With all the kind of back end of the animation with that. So if they spend too much time on what was the Bob Hoskins one where they did the
Big Friend Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, that was it. And, that was kind of done okay. It wasn't really my kind of thing, but they mixed up the animation pretty heavily in that. And I thought that worked quite well in that respect. So as long as they mix it up well in this one, I think that it might be worth a look, but it might also be really stupid.
I'm hoping that it's going to be another Roger Rabbit, because that film is comedy gold. It's terrific, that film. And if this is recapturing that, then terrific. Can't wait.
Okay. Right.
You can get the
next one. My next one is Alley Cats, which is a new project by Ricky Gervais, which is coming to, I mentioned it earlier because it's an adult comedy animation thingy, which is a bunch of cats, one of them voiced by Ricky Gervais, one of them voiced by Diane Morgan, and more of that kind of Ricky Gervais team. And it's a story of a gang of foul-mouthed cats who cause havoc while ruminating on the meaning of life, seeking companionship, and fighting for survival in a brutal human world. And again, like Coyote versus Acme, this could go tits up. What it's got going for it, though, is I do like Ricky Gervais and what he does. And in this trailer where he's playing the kind of lead cat, what he says, the dialogue is quite funny. There's lots of F-bombs and expletives, and language is really strong. But then that's Gervais for you. He doesn't care. I'm not sure that it's going to survive 6 episodes, though. The novelty could wear off quite quickly. But I do like him, and I like his delivery, and so I remain hopeful, and I think it might be okay. It's arriving on Netflix on the 7th of August. I'm not sure if it's all arriving that day or whether it's weekly. I didn't check that. But did you think this might have legs?
Yeah. I'll certainly give anything that Ricky Gervais does a go, because he has written some corkers in the past. I don't know about this. I remember he did a book, I think I have it somewhere, called Flanimals or Flanimals, I think, yeah, with goofy animals in it.
Right.
I do have it somewhere. But yeah, it looks all right. It might be quite funny. Diane Morgan, I think, is top notch.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll give it a go.
Cool. Okay, what's next?
Next up is The Girl in the River. No, I didn't have much. I threw this on just as what is it? Is it a new TV series or something like that? But it looks to be I imagine this is going to go direct to video, possibly, given the cast. But it's a fairly creepy looking little thriller about a seasoned criminologist and a young female psychiatrist or psychologist, one of them, are lured to a remote psychologist, who are lured to a remote American town to investigate the murder of a little girl and the disappearance of her twin sister as they crawl inside the killer's mind in a race against time. I think it's got quite an ambitious premise. It's got Maggie Grace, Ralph Macchio from Karate Kid, and Devon Sawa from the first Final Destination film. I think it looks quite good. I actually care about what might have happened. Yeah, I think these sorts of thrillers generally go to miniseries, and you end up having to spend 10 hours watching it. But this just looks like a tidy little 90-minute middle-of-the-week thriller that might dish out some interesting conclusions. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. It might well be okay. My concern is that the trailer makes it look as though that they made it very complex and over complex and not simple enough, and doing that usual thing of every single character in the show or the film being painted up as a potential suspect and blah, and so it's just kind of terribly transparent that they're just doing that to make people, to introduce intrigue or whatever. And American politics has been thrown in again, which will bore me. But I may have misread this whole thing, but the feeling is that it's definitely worth a go, like you were saying. But it might be a bit too complex for its own good. But yes, the good thing is that it's not a 10-hour show. It's short and sweet, and so definitely worth a go. Okay, Ebenezer is next, and Johnny Depp. And this is coming to cinemas. Ebenezer, A Christmas Carol is coming to the cinema in November. I reckon that the reason they've done this is because they're going to release it on the 13th of November, and so they do the cinemas then, and then they can line up the streaming for Boxing Day or something, and then make loads of money from Netflix or whatever by pushing it through. I don't know if that's anyway. It's the usual. Do you think?
No, I think about it. Yeah, that's a very fair point. They'll dump it in cinemas because that's the smaller audience.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So it's all a question of timing and making money. Anyway, it's the usual Scrooge story, Christmas Carol. In the trailer, Johnny Depp looks in control, in charge, lapping up the fun elements of it, and I just think that he's really engaging to watch, and it all has a Tim Burton feel about it, although it's not a Tim Burton. It's directed by Ty West, so it's certainly not a Burton project, I don't think. He might be one of the producers, I suppose, but it's certainly got his kind of mark about it. Looks well produced, well acted by everyone, and I guess it depends on how funny or unfunny it is and how good the script is and whether it will last for a whole film, or once we've seen Depp acting the clown for a while, we get fed up with it. But I think it's worth a try. Do you?
Yeah, I'm not going to bother with this, to be honest. It's not the type of film that I'm really too excited about. I think Depp can be quite funny, but I'd rather see him in a more traditional comedy at this stage. He's done so many of these types of things before, whether it be Alice in Wonderland or oh god, all the other ones that he's done, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I'm just like, give it a rest, wear a different hat, just go and make a proper film. You don't always have to do some sort of high concept, quirky thing. I'd like to see Johnny Depp doing something like Nick of Time or Private Resort again.
Fair enough.
Two films that bombed, to be honest. But yeah. But yes, it does look very what's his face, Tim Burton-y, but I didn't see his name in the producer's credits at all.
Right.
So
right.
Ty West is maybe just going to borrow that for this film before he goes back and makes some sort of slasher movie again.
Okay, what's next?
Next is a film. It's a word of warning, actually. I know we're talking about trailers here, but don't watch this trailer. Watch the film instead. It's called Zipwire. It stars Saffron Burrows, who is always worth watching, and it's one of those films where someone gets stuck in an inhospitable environment. This time on a zip wire between two mountains, essentially.
That's a rope.
But it seems, yes, it's a rope between two mountains. It seems to have a little bit more in the way of plot, where there's a special code that gives access to $15 million, and there's nefarious people running around trying to get this code, and things might be orchestrated as to get the person onto the zip wire and trapped, which is welcome. However, the trailer plays everything out as the film happens, and it's effectively 2 minutes of highlights from the start of the film to the end of the film in order. You see how they get onto the zip wire. You see people doing things to taunt them, and I actually turned it off before the end of the trailer because I had a funny feeling they were actually going to show you the resolution as well and how to kill the villain. Ted, what did you think of this?
You're totally right. Why would you put out a trailer to just tell the whole story? That just seems bonkers to me, because this does look as though it might have quite a tension thing going on with it. And that whole I hate heights, and it makes my knees turn to jelly just watching it. But there's a lot of tension in there. And why would you just show everyone the highlights of the film and tell them what it's all about? It's just, that seems bonkers to me. But yeah, okay, well, it's their decision, isn't it?
It is a bad decision, but I don't know that too many people are actually probably going to watch this. If it just arrives on streaming and they get a thumbnail, it looks very much like The Fall and The Fall 2, which is arriving. So it'll capture that market, and people will be happy to watch it based around, people get stuck on a zip wire, or people get stuck in a cable car, or people get stuck in a car under some mud. People get stuck on a balcony in a hotel.
Yeah.
Grasping there.
There you go. So there you have it. And you got one more.
Do I? Oh, I do. Yes. Yes, that's right. I forgot about this one. All Night Wrong. This is a quirky little comedy mystery thriller thing that's arriving on August 14th about Gary and Elle, who meet on who meet on a blind date only to wind up stealing a killer's car along with a dead body and $40,000. It's got Zach Cherry from Severance, and Emily Hampshire, and it looks actually kind of one of those sort of modern comedy thrillers with a kind of neon feel to it. I quite like this. I did smirk a wee bit as I watched it, and there looks to be actual violence in it and bloodshed and things, so it might be something worth watching. What did you make of it?
I got the impression that it was another one the same, which is that the trailer just gives the whole story away. Maybe not quite from start to finish, but it was, it's like just I think highlights was the word you used, and it's quite a good one. And I don't know, I didn't quite like the look of this to be honest. I'm back to my kind of American filmmakers taking a good-looking idea for a thriller and then trying to turn it into a comedy, which isn't really funny. Whereas if you put this in the hands of the Coen brothers, they would turn it into, it might be funny in places, but it will be more dark and thrilling than funny. But there just seems to be a lot of this. They have a good idea, which this looks like it is, and then they just ruin it. And I know I said that before, but I think it's a miss for me, but we'll see what happens.
Well, early word is that this is rather good. It's got an 8.4 out of 10 so far, so I'm hoping it's maybe going to be one of those little indie comedies that get some attention.
Okay, fair enough. Right, before we go, we're going to head for the final curtain where we have two occupants.
We do. I think it's a bit of an Irish special this week. Just today, we lost Glenn Hansard, who you might not immediately know, but if you've seen The Commitments, you know him. He's the thin ginger guy. And he's in the film Once, which was a bit of a hit whenever it came out. He's better known as a musician, a sort of Irish singer-songwriter. But unfortunately, he was killed today in a motorcycle accident in Lucan, which is just outside of Dublin.
Yeah.
And he died on impact. It was very sad. So go and check him out on Spotify or YouTube Music or whatever if you have the means to. I stuck a wee video in for you to watch in the show notes if you want to have a wee listen to that, because he's quite highly thought of here, and well, everybody loves The Commitments, I think. So yeah, it's very sad to hear of his passing at 56, which is very sad.
It is very sad. I would never have recognised the name, but when you put the picture of him in, instantly I recognised him from The Commitments, which I have seen twice in my life. What year was that made? 1991.
91.
Yeah. So I saw it when it first came out, and then I didn't see it for a long time, and I watched it again relatively recently. And yeah, the point being that I instantly recognised that picture of him. So, but that's all I know him from. But yeah, a motorcycle accident. That's really sad.
It is, yeah, very sad. Another Dubliner that we lost was Brenda Fricker, who, where do you begin with this? She is Nurse Duffy, wasn't it? I think from Casualty, which is a long-running BBC show.
Oh yeah.
No, Megan Roach, actually, just according to Nurse Duffy was another one. But she was in it for 14 years, and that's where I first knew her from whenever I was a kid.
Yeah.
I loved watching Casualty. And she was the sort of matron or one of the senior nurses, and just had that well-known Irish lilt. And she popped up in all sorts of Hollywood movies soon after that. She was well known as the Pigeon Lady from Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. She's also in I like her in the Quatermass film that it was a mini series with John Mills playing Quatermass, because I'm a bit of a Quatermass fan. But So I Married an Axe Murderer, she was in that as well, playing Mike Myers' father. It's a very pivotal role in that, or mother, sorry, because Mike Myers plays his father. Moll Flanders as well, A Time to Kill, she was in there too. Resurrection Man was a big sort of Irish return for her, which is a good Irish flick if you get a chance, with Stuart Townsend. Veronica Guerin as well, which had a pal of mine in it. She was in Oma, the TV movie that they made about the bombing in Oma back in 1990 or 2002, I think that was, actually. Yeah. But yeah, loads of stuff over the years, and you'll know her voice from anywhere. She's just got that Irish accent. And I initially thought she was in The Commitments as well, because that would be a sensible thing for her to be in. But she was in, was it The Van? Or I can't remember. There was a couple of classic Irish movies that she was in. She was in The Field with Richard Harris and My Left Foot. But I was pretty sure she was in one of the guy who wrote the Commitments trilogy. And I can't remember what the other two are called. There's The Van, The Commitments, and The Snapper. That was the other one, but I don't see that on our list. Maybe it is there.
Okay.
But you know her then?
Yeah, it's interesting that she's played a nurse in not only Casualty, but also in Coronation Street, Staff Nurse Maloney, and then in something else. Oh yeah, Angels. She's in Angels. I don't know if you remember, if you're the right age for Angels, but that was another hospital BBC drama from the 1980s, and she was a nurse in that as well. They seem to want to employ her as being this kind of nurse for a while. But yeah, apart from that, loads of other stuff. And I did know her from My Left Foot particularly. I did watch that a couple of times back in the day. And yeah, very sad. She was 80-something, wasn't she?
She was, yeah. Actually, she made a film with Alan. Now you mention it.
Oh, right.
She was in Closing the Ring with Alan. Alan plays a police officer in that. So, Dickie Attenborough.
Right, very good. Very sad. 81 she was, so yeah. Okay, well, right. Well, we're done for this show. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time. PodHub UK is where you can get all the links. If you get lost, you can find them all at tedsalmon.com as well. GarethMyles.com is where you'll find Gareth's stuff, including the aforementioned reviews that he's been penning. Projectorroom.co.uk is where you'll find links to all that we do for Projector Room, and we can catch you in the MeWe group as well. So yeah, if you get lost, all the other podcasts, all the other MeWe links are on tedsalmon.com. And we will be back, Gareth and I, in 2 weeks' time with another Projector Room.